Hi, and welcome to MemoryLane.com. I'm Rabbi Avram Golder, and here we are. We're going through Masechah Shabbos with the goal of coming up with a simon for every single daf to make it easy to review, to find things, to retain, and to build our understanding of Shabbos through the Masechta daf by daf. Okay, so who'd have thought that when we go through B'med Leaking, that right there in that first Mishnah, we'd have the whole sugya of my Chanukah and all three dafim worth of inyanim related to Chanukah. So that's one of the great beauties of Daf Yomi, is just seeing what's right under all the Mishnayos in very great detail. Okay, so this week I'm doing a little bit differently. In this video, I'm going to review the Simanim that we came up with for the 7 dafim that we did, from Daf Yud Zayin to Daf Chav Gimel. Then I'm going to have another short video just with a little quiz on these 7. And then, Mitzvah Hashem, we'll try to do another video, the jumbo quiz from Daf Beis to Daf Chav Gimel, for those who want to just give it a go to see how we're able to find things throughout. Because the more you practice, you might even see, wow, you can actually remember where things are and use them, the better. It's just more motivating, exciting, and just keeps the momentum going. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go from Daf Yud Zayin to Daf Chav Gimel. Okay, Daf Yud Zayin. So Daf Yud Zayin, we're still in the 18 enactments that were set on the Aliyah of Hanani ben Chizki ben Garon. And one of the cases that was considered was if metaltalin, which does not have has the width of an ox goad, which is not even a tefach wide, whether that will transmit tuma. We also have the issue of the Malchus Beis Shem Beis Hillel, whether a basket that's holding, when you're harvesting grapes or olives, the juice that is squeezed out, let's say from the grapes, will that be actually the other grapes in the process? You'd have to be careful in terms of tahara. And then we also have the issue of all the different kalim, shvisas kalim, the Malchus Beis Shem Beis Hillel, like soaking dyes or traps or flax. Those kalim, what do we have to be concerned about using them on Shabbos as well? All the shvisas kalim. So what's the simon? The simon Daf Yud Zayin. No, it's not a strong one, but Yud is a Yid, Jewish. Zayin is like a harvest, looks like a sickle, Jewish farmer. Okay, so we have a Jewish farmer. He's walking through the fields with his ox goad on his back and over his shoulder. And at the end of the ox goad, you have this basket of grapes that have just been harvested, and they're oozing juice. So we got to be concerned about the issue of being makshir the grapes and doing it therefore batahara. And the juice is dripping on traps of soaking dye. So it just reminds us of all the different kalim. So that's Daf Yud Zayin. Okay, Daf Yud Ches. We have the question in terms of who holds that pouring liquid into the dye is the form of gibel, the form of kneading. That's issue number 1. Then we have other malachas that we're concerned about doing, Erev Shabbos leading into Shabbos, like burning things that are going to give fragrance to clothing on Shabbos. So the smoke will be going up and giving fragrance, a smell, fragrance. Okay, and then we have the topic of Shemi Yechata, and that you might come to stir the coals under a fire if you're cooking meats. And we have the issue of kid meat, ram meat, partial cooked or raw meat, and how Shemi Yechata applies. Okay, so Daf Yud Ches is 18, Ben Shmona Esrei Chuppah, so we're going to think of a chuppah. And under the chuppah we have the kala, and she's right next to a bowl of dye that is that's making her white dress not white. It's got like black dye in it. At the same time, there's the smoke coming up that's giving fragrance under the chuppah to their clothing. And behind them, you see the caterer with all his, people quickly throwing in the raw meat into a huge pot because they're concerned they're not going to have everything ready for the Seudah. So that is our simon for Daf Yud Ches. That's the issue of Shemi Yechata. Okay, good. Daf Yud Tes. Daf Yud Tes deals with the issue of giving mail to a Nachri, and what our concerns have to be in terms of his delivery on Shabbos. How far does he have to get Erev Shabbos? We also have the issue of giving clothing to a launderer, also a Nachri, and relate to Erev Shabbos. And we also have the issue of the Korah in the base of Bud, and the Igul Agas, the things pressing down on grapes or olives, Erev Shabbos, and then you have the juice continuing to ooze out on Shabbos, whether it's permissible to use the juice, or we have to be concerned there or not. So, what's her simon for Yud Tes? Yud Tes is a yacht. It's a beautiful boat. And in it, of course, you have a bunch of postmen going on their, I guess their yearly trip, holiday trip, and they got their, mailbags on their shoulders and they're enjoying the yacht. And over the side of the yacht is laundry being hung. That's the laundry issue. And then the yacht is sailing over a sea of oil and wine and honeycombs, because that was another consideration, juice oozing out from honeycombs and then continuing that on Shabbos. So that's our simon for Yud Tes. Daf Chaf. Daf Chaf deals with the issue of how much does food have to be cooked, not to be concerned about Shem Yechata, and we're introduced the idea of Machol Ben Drosai, the food of a bandit that only has to reach a certain part, it has to just be partially cooked. Another halachas relate to Machol Ben Drosai. Then we have the issue of when you burn wood, and not that we shouldn't be concerned about, again, adjusting the flame on Shabbos, how much of the fire has to be going, how much of the wood has to be burning, that we're going to leave it alone and not tamper with it and come to chitui, stirring it. And then we get to the issue on chaf of partially wood. 1 second. Chaf, spoon, 1 second here. You got the Macha Ben Drosai, you got the cup, of course, and you have then the whole parak base with Madlikin, which is all the bad wicks and oils that one can't use for lighting. So what's our simon? Chaf is a spoon. So we have the spoon, we have the carbon pesach, because that was in the Mishnah, on the spoon being roasted, and you have the bandits roasting it. So Macha Ben Drosai, the Drosai bandits are there, and so they're roasting it, and the wood, if we imagine it's a wooden spoon, the wooden spoon itself is getting burnt up. So we're wondering how much is going to get burnt before you can't use it, but that's the issue of how much wood has to be consumed. And then we get to the fact that they're roasting it over a whole fire of bad wicks and oils. So the fire itself is not so good. Okay, so that's our simon for Chaf. Chaf Aleph deals with the bad wicks, why we don't want to use the wicks, because they sputter, the oil doesn't draw well as well, so that's not good. So that's why we don't want to use certain materials for the wicks. We also have the issue of Chanukah. It's introduced, my Chanukah. We have the idea of Shetilchu Regum in a Shuk. You have the Talmudians, Talmudai, the people who sell the wood. They're the last ones usually in the marketplace. So once they go home, there's really no one else to see the menorah for Persimmon Nisa. We get into the issue of what's Mahadran, Mina Mahadran, the Malchus Beisham Beisil, whether you go up, you go down in terms of the lighting and the nights. So what's our simon for Chaf Aleph? Chaf Aleph is a cow, and you have this cow with these long, ugly wicks that are lit, but they're sputtering. They're sort of like those candles that you can't blow out, those trick candles. Anyway, they're just sputtering out, but they're just not lighting well. You have on the top of the cow's head, you have a beautiful menorah, beautiful. It's like Mahadran min Mahadran, to remind us the Malchus Beisham Beis Hillel. And they're chasing down people in the shuk, the Talmudai, the Talmudians, and who are running home with their wood. So Hashituchu Regel Mina Shuk. So that's our simon for Chaf Aleph. Chaf Beis, which is the second last daf for this week, deals with, we introduced the famous Chazal, a borek ein bo mayim by Yosef. The mayim wasn't there, but there's nachashim el kravim yeshbo. Then we get to the idea that when you light, you can't use the light for anything, like counting money is forbidden. And then we have the issue of, is hanacha the mitzvah, or is it the hadlaka, which is the mitzvah, which is the thing which is done. So we have our simon is Chaf Beis, is a cab, a taxi cab. It jumps out of a hole, a pit, with a bunch of snakes and scorpions there. So the guy's running home to do the mitzvah of lighting. He jumps out of the cab, and he pays the cab, and he's using the light, so the neighbor's light, to count for the tip, his money, and then he places the menorah there and lights. So that's the issue of hanacha versus hadlaka. And then today's daf Chaf Gimel. So we learned that women also have the mitzvah of hadlaka because they're involved in the nace itself, either saved themselves or they went through they were saved from the fact that the Greeks would be inappropriate with them before their chasnas. And we also have the case of chopping off the head of the Greek general, and that was done. Then we have the issue of oil being the preferred fuel for the menorah. Then we learn about the idea that if you have a menorah It has multiple wicks coming out of it. It's covered up with multiple wicks. It can be used by many people. And then we get into the Chazal about when people who are ragil in lighting, they'll have Talmidei Chachamim, careful mezuzah, a beautiful house, great things will happen. And we also have the issue in terms of who actually says the brachas. We have the brachas that are said, and who says the brachas? Is it the one doing the lighting? Is the one seeing it? What brachas would it say on the first and the subsequent days? Okay, so what's her siman? Chav Gimel is a keg. So here, I know there's a lot of ideas here, but it's actually kind of nicely wrapped up into one siman. You have women pouring oil, a lot of oil into this huge keg. So you have the women involved in Hanukkah pouring a lot of oil, which is preferred fuel. They cover it up with the lid, and you have multiple wicks around. And then they gather all their kids who look like budding Talmidei Chachamim, gathering around there. They recite the brachas. Those who are lighting it, those who are seeing it, also might be making brachas. And on their way out, after doing the lighting and the singing of Ma'od Sur, they walk out of the house and they kiss the mezuzah. It happens to be a beautiful home. So those are Simanim from Daf Yud Zayin to Daf Chaf Gimel. Great. Those are the Simanim. If you want to do a quick review, do so. And then in this next video I'm going to do right now, I'll quiz you on them. So we'll keep them nice and short and sweet and hopefully more pinpointed to your needs. Okay? Have a great week, great Chazorah, and just keep building. Get these down like the ABCs, and then we'll just keep adding day by day.